Hi, Courtney here. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. We're going to talk frugal weddings today. And my husband and I had a frugal wedding back in 2018 for less than $1,000. And everything I talk to you about today is included in that price. Maybe this won't fit everyone. We are a little older. And if you are younger and getting married, you could still do a lot of these things. You might just want to do a registry. People will give you gifts a lot of times, even if you say no gifts, or you wouldn't have to say anything. You could just register at your local Target, Walmart, wherever, department store if you were starting out and needed gifts. But in order to have a wedding and not go into debt, these are some of the things that we did. Now, to be quite frank, my husband and I could afford a wedding. We had the money to cash flow a big wedding, but we did not want to do that. We do not find value in that. Plus, we've both been married before, and we knew that it's a day that is nice and you remember it, but really what's important is the two people getting married and then being on the same page. We'd also both seen a lot of weddings that were stressful and cost a lot of money. Our own daughter's wedding, she just wanted, by the time they had the wedding, they were just ready for it to be over because it had been so stressful. So let's talk about some things we did. First of all, we spent around $1,000. Actually, it was 800, and it might be a little more with the cost of everything going up. But the first thing we did is we got married at home. We got married in our living room in front of our fireplace. And the second thing we did is we wore clothes that we didn't go out and spend a lot on clothes. My husband wore his cowboy boots, his blue jeans, a white dress shirt, a tie, and a sport jacket. My husband's an old bareback Bronco rider, so that's his personality, and I didn't want him to try to be different and put on a tux that just didn't really fit him. I asked around in some of my frugal groups and some of my frugal friends if anybody had a dress that they wanted to sell that was in my size. I kind of gave some specifications on what I wanted. The main thing was I didn't want white. I wanted something that was kind of neutral. And I was in my 40s at the time, and white would have been kind of weird in my opinion, but you do what you want, of course. My mom gave me a beautiful shawl and some earrings, and I wore a pair of shoes that I had. I was willing to pay for a dress, and I offered to pay, but the person just gave it to me as a gift because she didn't have any use for it. The next thing was I did my own makeup and I did my own hair, and then a friend came over and helped me kind of fix it a little bit more when she got here. Let's see, family and friends offered help, and I don't mean necessarily monetary help, some monetary help, but I accepted where I felt like it was appropriate and it wouldn't hurt. My mom offered to do the flowers, and I actually kept having to pull her back. Now, at the time, my mom was helping sometimes with this lady who had an event planning business, and she was able to borrow a few things, but the things that we borrowed are not that uncommon, and you could probably find them. They were candle holders, lanterns, and electric candles. That's it. I mean, I really had to pull my mom back from over decorating. She put greenery on the mantle. This was January 1st, 2018. She purchased some, like this kind of long flowery thing. She put some lanterns on the mantle, some electric candles. I purchased the electric candles, and it was just beautiful. There was a bouquet on the table. I think she also did a small bouquet for the, what do you call that thing that we're in our kitchen? I can't think of the island. And I had a small bouquet, and all I wanted was simple carnations. I did not want a really big bouquet or anything like that fancy. I think she spent about $300. You have to remember this is 4 years, so I just know it was around $800 to $900. So another friend of mine who is a musician, my husband picked a song and I picked a song. I picked a song that I would walk out to, and I picked a song that I would stand there to until that ended, and then we got married. And my friend used her iPad and a speaker. She's a professional musician, but I don't think it was anything that your average person wouldn't have. And then she put on a playlist. I asked her to pick a playlist, kind of told her our taste in music. She put on a playlist in the background during the reception. All right. So the next thing is we set up our living room like aisles. So we used furniture and chairs that we had, and then we borrowed a few chairs from a friend. Not that many. I think maybe we borrowed 10 or something. We had 30 people, and we set it up like aisles, like a church. with an aisle. I want to say it was down the middle, but now that I'm remembering it, I think it was just across because we only had 15 people. And that worked out great. It looked wonderful. I asked our family and friends who I knew were good at taking pictures to be in charge of pictures and to make sure I didn't forget anything because I knew I would be nervous. And so I had a couple of friends who were good with their phone. They used their iPhones, they took pictures, and then they sent them to me, and I used freeprints.com and printed them out for the cost of shipping. The whole thing cost me less than $30, and I have an album that I purchased for them. Let's see. So, I would recommend have a friend that's willing to make sure that you don't forget like the spouse, picture of the spouses, the parents, the kids, all of that. Because if you're like me, you're not going to think about that when you're nervous. The next thing is, let's see, we kept our guest list to 30 people. The more people, the more money. And I am seeing people say they're spending $80 a person at their wedding. That's crazy to me. Crazy. I just would rather go to a wedding and have freaking tacos and chips and salsa and hang out with my friends and not feel the pressure to be stressed. And that's what I wanted. So because it was 1/1/2018 and we're in the South, on the first, we always eat black eyed peas and greens and cornbread. That's like a traditional thing. My husband and I'm a vegan. He just eats mostly whole food, plant-based. So that's what we did. And I asked some family members who offered to bring some dishes, to bring things that were side dishes. And if I remember correctly, they had some deviled eggs and maybe some pickled okra and things like that. So we just had a big like January 1st spread, New Year's Day spread. And my husband and I cooked the greens and we cooked the beans, and we had he picked up all the cornbread from Cracker Barrel because he likes their cornbread, and it was fantastic. And we iced down water, sodas. I did Sprite, I think, ginger ale. And I'll be honest, I learned this little trick raising kids. I have 6 kids, they're grown now. Don't buy colored stuff. It gets all over everything. It makes a mess. So we didn't do anything with color, just clear drinks, and nobody complained. Okay. The next thing we had was I borrowed a tiered like plate, and I'd seen this on Pinterest, and we had like vanilla on the bottom, chocolate in the middle, and vanilla on the top. We got the cupcakes from Walmart, and we had white icing on the top, and it was beautiful. That's the only thing I didn't get a picture of because one of them fell on the floor and my dog was licking the icing, and that's the only picture of those cupcakes we got because it was so funny. Let's see. The next thing was I didn't want, at the time I had my engagement ring, and I went and looked at bands, and I just didn't like any of them, and I was cool with just wearing a band with diamonds on my finger, so I didn't want another ring. My husband and I went to the jewelry store to look for a wedding ring for him, and he ended up just getting this, I don't know if it's titanium or what, but it was like $200 or $240, and it was a kind of metal that's good for people who work a lot with their hands, and he works on our farm a lot, and that's what he wanted. But we were willing to spend more, but that's what he wanted, and it's been great. No problems at all. It's a nice metal band, something that's really common with the guys these days. We did request no gifts. We asked people to just show up, and some people offered to do things, which I've already told you we took them up on, our closest friends and family, if it was something that I felt like was reasonable and I didn't want anybody to be put out. But we just didn't want anything. Some people did give us gifts like gift cards to go out to eat or Lowe's or things like that, and of course I sent thank you cards. The next thing is our friend is a judge, and she performed the wedding, and so we didn't have to pay her anything, but I know my husband offered. And if he did, which I'm sure he didn't, I think that was her gift to us. I don't know about it. The other thing is we used an online printing service to print up our invitations because we only had to do about 30. It wasn't that much, and they came with envelopes, and I designed them with a stock thing, and it was great. I don't even know if I have a copy. I am very minimalist. I don't hang on to things very much. I'm sure I do upstairs. Okay, the next thing was everyone told us it was the most beautiful wedding they had ever been to, and that just made my heart feel so good. It really was beautiful. It really did turn out beautiful. Even my children told me it was so beautiful, Mom. Um, and I think maybe it was because we were all a little bit more comfortable. I want you to know I spent many years planning this wedding because when we met, we still were raising kids, and we had thought about getting married a couple times, and we put it off until the kids were grown. We went and looked at venues. We had a whole wedding plan for $15,000. I just couldn't do it. I just didn't see the value in it. I'm very shy. I do not like a lot of attention on me. And you might not think that I'm sitting here doing a YouTube video, but this is my comfort zone. But not standing up in front of a lot of people, even though I am a teacher and do that every day. There's the me in this space, and then there's the me everywhere else. So it turned out wonderful. I won't say that we saved the money and used it later. We did not go on a trip right away, and I don't remember why. I think it's because we had just moved into our house. We were both working, and we just have a lot of responsibilities at the time with kids and dogs. And so we planned later that year to go to Yellowstone, and we did that. We went for a week to Yellowstone. Um, I was trying to think if there was anything else, but no, that's it. We just wanted the day to be a priority. So, borrowing things, getting creative, having your wedding in a place that doesn't cost a lot of money, just keeping it simple and stress free. Thinking about the kind of wedding that you might want to go to. You know, I saw a guy today who was like really upset in one of my financial independence groups because he had spent $350 on a tux, and he was going to have to go to this wedding and pay for a hotel, pay for gas, and he was like, this is ridiculous. I would never want anyone to feel that put out coming to my wedding. Now, you may be completely different, and this is definitely not going to be a fit for everyone, but I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope this helps somebody have a frugal wedding. And thank you so much for being here. Bye bye.